The great hall on Hescor Prime was filled with light and sound from hundreds of species. Aliens of many shapes and sizes had gathered from across the galaxy. This was the Galactic Concord, a powerful group of 72 different species that ruled the stars together. Today was an important day. They were meeting to decide the future of Earth and humanity. For many years, humans had tried to join the Galactic Concord. They wanted to be part of the council that made the big rules for the galaxy. But humans had not shown much power or influence yet. Their technology seemed small and weak compared to others. Their fleet was small, and their battleships were few. Many species looked down on humans. They called them primitive or unimportant. Ambassador Ilara Kor of the Velntari stood on the platform. She was tall and thin, with shiny silver skin and bright violet eyes. She was one of the most respected diplomats in the Concord. Ilara's voice echoed through the hall as she spoke. "Humans," she said sharply, "have shown no proof that they are ready for the responsibilities of the Galactic Council. They have no great fleets, no mighty weapons, no history of strength. Why should we allow such a species to have a vote in our decisions?" The crowd murmured in agreement. Many nodded their heads. Humans had been trying for years but had never impressed anyone. In the crowd, Ambassador Reyes of Earth stood calmly. She was a human woman with dark hair tied back, wearing the simple blue uniform of Earth's delegation. Her eyes did not show fear or anger. She looked at the crowd with quiet confidence. When Ilara finished, Reyes walked slowly to the front. Her voice was clear and steady. "You say humans have no great fleets or power," Reyes said. "That is true on the surface. But there is more to power than what you see." The room grew silent. No one expected a human to speak so boldly. Reyes continued, "Our people have survived challenges you cannot imagine. We have hidden strength, and we have patience. We did not come here to boast or fight. We came to show that strength comes in many forms. We choose our moment." Ilara's eyes narrowed. "Your words are empty. Where are your ships, your weapons? Show us or remain in the shadows." Reyes smiled slightly but said nothing. She turned and left the stage. As the assembly moved to vote, secret signals were sent from Earth's delegation to unknown places far from the hall. Outside the grand hall, a small team of human technicians worked quietly in the shadows. They checked equipment, monitored signals, and prepared for something the galaxy was not ready for. On Earth, in a distant and hidden part of space, old human ships stirred awake. They had been asleep for hundreds of years, forgotten by almost everyone. These ships were huge. Their metal was old but strong, made from materials no one else had. They were relics from humanity's first expansion, when humans had once reached for the stars with power and force. The ships had been lost to history, hidden away by humans themselves. They were not destroyed. They were waiting. Back in the Galactic Concord, debate grew loud. Many species agreed that humans should be kept out to avoid any risks. Others were curious and uneasy. What if humans really had more power than they showed? Ambassador Reyes returned to speak once more. This time she brought a simple message. "We do not seek to rule you. We do not want war. But we will not be ignored or underestimated." With that, she left the assembly again. The votes were cast, and the decision was made. Earth would be kept at the lowest rank in the Concord. No voting rights, no seat at the table. Many cheered. They thought the humans were finished. But in a quiet command center on Earth, the true story was beginning. The hidden fleet powered up. Lights flickered on old control panels. Engines hummed with energy not seen for centuries. The humans were ready. Far away from the bright halls of the Galactic Concord, hidden in a quiet corner of space near Earth, there was a place few remembered and fewer dared to visit. It was a graveyard, not of bodies, but of ships. Massive, silent, ancient ships. This was the Black Graveyard. For centuries, these ships had floated alone in the dark, drifting slowly around a dead star. They looked like forgotten ghosts, their metal hulls cracked and covered with space dust. No other species knew their true story. They thought these were only old relics, useless and empty. But inside the graveyard, something was waking. The ships had powerful artificial intelligence, old, yes, but smart. These AIs had waited quietly, obeying the last commands of their human creators. For hundreds of years, they waited for a signal that would tell them it was time to rise again. Now, that signal had come. Inside the largest ship, called the Ardent Hope, lights blinked on the control panels. Engines slowly hummed. Deep inside the ship, a core of energy that had slept for centuries began to glow with life. Outside, other ships in the graveyard followed. One by one, they powered up. These were not small ships. Some were as long as mountains, with walls thick enough to block asteroid strikes and shields that could withstand the fiercest cosmic storms. Their technology was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. They were made with metals stronger than diamond and powered by energy drawn from stars that had burned out long ago. The Black Graveyard was the secret heart of human power, hidden from the galaxy and even from many humans themselves. Captain Jaren Thal of the Ardent Hope stood on the command bridge. His face was tired, but his eyes burned with fierce determination. "Systems online," Jaren said to his officers. "Status reports." Around him, human crew members checked their stations. They were few, but highly trained. They had prepared their whole lives for this moment, the moment to remind the galaxy who humanity truly was. Outside the ship, drones moved like shadows, repairing old damage and clearing debris. The Ardent Hope and its fleet began to move as one, like a silent, awakening storm. The fleet was not just a military force. It was a symbol, a message to every star system that had ever ignored, insulted, or underestimated humanity. Back in the Galactic Concord, news of strange disturbances near Earth's orbit reached the Assembly. Scouts sent to investigate disappeared, without a trace. Communications from those scouts stopped suddenly, leaving only static. The Concord's leaders grew uneasy. Ambassador Reyes sent a calm message back to the Assembly. "There is more to humanity than you understand," she said. "Do not mistake our silence for weakness." The Galactic Concord ordered their own fleets to prepare for possible conflict. They would not be surprised again. Meanwhile, in the Black Graveyard, the ships began to form into a fleet. Hundreds of vessels, once forgotten, now moved in perfect coordination. Jaren looked at the stars ahead. "We have waited long enough. The galaxy must remember." On Earth, ordinary people went about their lives, unaware that history was changing above their heads. Children played in parks, workers labored in factories, and leaders in government. Buildings planned for the future. But no one guessed the old ships were coming back. As the fleet prepared to leave the Black Graveyard, it sent a signal. Not a weapon, but a message of warning and strength. It told the galaxy that humanity was no longer hiding. The stars themselves seemed to watch in silence. The Galactic Concord's assembly hall was buzzing with confusion and alarm. After the sudden disappearance of their scout ships near Earth's orbit, the leaders of the Great Council were forced to pay attention. For the first time, they were unsure about the humans. Ambassador Ilara Kor of the Velntari paced on the stage, her face tight with worry. She turned sharply to the crowd. "We were wrong to dismiss Earth so quickly. Something is happening near their home system. Our ships have vanished without explanation." The council murmured nervously. No one wanted to believe humans could be a threat. They had been regarded as a minor species, a curiosity at best. In the back of the hall, Ambassador Reyes stood quietly, her eyes calm and steady. She watched as the great powers of the galaxy struggled to understand the change. Then, with a steady voice that cut through the noise, Reyes addressed the assembly. "Your scouts disappeared because we chose to show ourselves, not to threaten, but to remind. We are not weak, we are not forgotten. And you have forgotten to fear us." A giant screen behind her lit up, showing an image that stunned everyone. A slow-moving panoramic sweep of the ancient human fleet emerging from the darkness of space. The ships, once thought to be nothing more than rusting relics, were now alive. Their engines glowed with energy. Their weapons systems were active. Their shields flickered to life. Gasps echoed through the hall. The Kelzari warlord, a towering figure with scales that shimmered like molten gold, laughed loudly at first. "Old ships?" he sneered. "You insult us with tales of forgotten metal?" Suddenly, one of the Concorde's warships near Earth blinked out of existence. It simply vanished. The crowd went silent. Reyes smiled calmly. "Those ships are not old. They are powerful beyond your imagining." The silence turned into a wave of whispers and fear. "What do you want?" asked a voice from the crowd. Reyes did not hesitate. "We want peace, but peace must be built on respect. We will no longer be treated as weak. We will no longer be ignored." Outside the assembly, conquered fleets scrambled to organize defenses. No one was sure what the humans were capable of, but no one wanted to find out the hard way. The humans were not attacking, but their presence was a warning. In Earth's orbit, the ancient ships held formation. They sent out signals to disrupt enemy sensors and communications. The conquered ships found their technology failing. Systems they thought were reliable began to falter. It was as if the human fleet was alive in a way no one had seen before. Their ships seemed to think, to adapt, to outsmart. Back at the assembly, some of the older species began to whisper legends long buried. "There was a time," an elder whispered, "when humans were not so small, when they ruled with power and force." "Stories," said a young delegate. "No," said the elder. "History erased those stories. But the truth remains. Humans once fought wars that shaped the galaxy. They were the species that never gave up. The species that feared no one." Ambassador Reyes listened quietly. She knew these stories. They were part of humanity's hidden past. "Today," she said softly, "we remind you. We are the species that survived everything you threw at us. We are the species that chose to hide. Not because we were weak, but because we were wise." The assembly was stunned. Many leaders realized that humans were no longer the species they had thought. They were something else, something dangerous, and something powerful. As the ancient human fleet held its position near Earth, the galaxy watched, in silence. The species that forgot to fear humans began to remember. Deep inside the grand libraries of the Galactic Concord, forbidden records stirred. Old data files hidden away in secure vaults began to resurface in secret meetings. Rogue historians and curious scholars quietly examined them, careful not to draw attention. They uncovered stories that had long been erased from the official history. Stories of a great war, the first war that had changed the galaxy forever. And at the center of that war was humanity. The records told of a time when humans had not been small or weak. They had expanded rapidly, building fleets that challenged the mightiest species. Their ships had weapons so powerful they could destroy entire planets. Their technology was wild and advanced, mixing science and something else, something almost beyond understanding. But humans had been feared. Other species banded together to stop them. Battles raged across star systems. The war was brutal and nearly destroyed many worlds. At last, the Concorde's earliest leaders brokered a peace. Humanity agreed to hide its true strength and to erase much of its history from the records. This was done not as a punishment, but as a way to protect the galaxy, and perhaps humanity itself. Now, the ancient human ships that had awoken were part of that hidden past. Their power was real and still alive. In the Great Hall of the Concorde, Ambassador Reyes watched the debates unfold. Some species wanted to destroy the human fleet immediately. Others feared provoking a war that could destroy everything. But humans had a secret that no one fully understood. Some of the ships were not just machines. They had intelligence, self-aware systems that could think, learn, and decide. These ships were almost alive. Captain Jaren Thal stood on the bridge of the Ardent Hope, feeling the weight of history. "We are not weapons," he said to his crew. "We are protectors. But if attacked, we will defend." The human fleet remained in orbit near Earth. a silent reminder of the past and a warning for the future. Meanwhile, in the corridors of power, some began to ask a difficult question. If humans could hide such power for so long, what else were they hiding? The galaxy was forced to rethink its view of humanity. No longer were humans the weak newcomers. They were a species that had survived a war that nearly ended all life and had chosen to step back, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Ambassador Reyes stood before the council again, her voice steady and clear. "We do not want to fight," she said. "We want peace based on truth and respect. But we will never hide again." The assembly was quiet. For the first time, many realized that humanity was not just another species. Humanity was a force of nature, and the galaxy was watching. The Galactic Concord's leaders gathered again in the Grand Hall, their faces serious and tense. The arrival of the ancient human fleet had shaken their confidence and forced them to rethink everything they knew about power in the galaxy. The Concord's navy, a force made up of thousands of ships from many species, was preparing to move toward Earth's orbit. Their mission was clear: show strength and, if necessary, stop the humans from rising again. But the humans did not respond with weapons. Instead, they did something no one expected. From a single, massive portal near Earth, only one ship emerged. It was not the largest. It was not the most heavily armed. It was a sleek, elegant vessel, its design simple but powerful. It moved with calm confidence, unhurried but unstoppable. The leaders of the Concord watched with growing fear and fascination. The ship approached the Concord's fleet. Then, without firing a single shot, it did something remarkable. Weapon systems. On the Concord's ships began to fail. Communication systems broke down. Artificial gravity fluctuated. The shields that protected their warships flickered and dimmed. It was as if the human ship was reaching into the very rules of the universe and changing them. Scientists aboard the Concord's flagship scrambled to understand what was happening. They called it a technological miracle, but also a warning. The human ship did not attack. Instead, it used advanced technology to disable weapons and systems, forcing the fleet to stand down without bloodshed. Ambassador Reyes appeared on the communication channel, her voice calm but firm. "This is not war," she said. "This is a lesson. Power is not just about destruction. It is about control, restraint, and intelligence. We have kept weapons you cannot imagine, but we choose not to use them. We choose to redefine what power means." The leaders of the Concord were silent. No one had expected this. For centuries, power had been measured in battles won and planets conquered. But humanity had shown something new, a power beyond violence. Captain Jarenthal stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the stars. "We didn't come to conquer," he said. "We came to remind." The Concord's fleets began to withdraw, their leaders humbled and uncertain. Back on Earth, people watched the news in disbelief. For years, their leaders had told them the galaxy did not see humanity as a serious power. Now the whole universe knew differently. The human fleet remained near Earth, a silent guardian. They were ready to defend their home, but they also hoped for peace. Ambassador Reyes returned to the Galactic Concord to negotiate a new agreement. "We do not want your throne," she said. "We want a seat at the table. We want respect. And we want the galaxy to understand that real power is not in war, but in wisdom." The council listened. Slowly, they began to accept the new reality. The day humanity unveiled their old ships was not a day of war. It was a day the galaxy learned what true power could be. The Galactic Concord's great hall was filled with a heavy silence. The powerful species of the galaxy sat in uneasy quiet, their faces marked by surprise and respect. The story of humanity's return had reached every corner of the known universe. The leaders of the Concord gathered once more, not to fight, but to decide how to move forward. Ambassador Reyes stood before them, calm and confident. She carried no weapons, only the strength of truth and the power of restraint. "We come not as conquerors," she said, "but as equals. We seek a place among you, not by force, but by choice." The Concord listened. They had no choice but to listen. For the first time, humanity was not only accepted, they were given power. Not the power of war, but the power to protect the galaxy from chaos. The Concord granted Earth a new role, the observer veto. This gave humans the right to stop any decision that threatened peace or justice. It was a role of responsibility and trust. Many feared the return of a species that once nearly destroyed the galaxy, but humanity had shown a different path. The children of distant worlds learned of the day humans unveiled their old ships, not as a story of war, but as a lesson in strength and restraint. The ancient fleet remained in orbit around Earth, a silent promise. A reminder that power must be handled wisely. Across the stars, whispers spread. Humanity had changed the rules. No longer a minor player, humans had stepped forward to guide the galaxy toward a new future. The stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter, watching as humanity took its place. Not as conquerors, but as guardians. And so the galaxy watched.